Welcome to Wealth Beyond the White Coat, a show where we dive deep into the world of financial freedom for dentists and medical professionals. I'm your host, Darren Flesher, a dentist with a passion for uncovering the strategies that lead to a prosperous life beyond the office. Every episode will explore the avenues of alternative investing, tax mitigation, and secrets to build wealth that the textbooks don't teach you. Whether you're looking to enhance your financial literacy, discover new investment opportunities, or simply find a better way to manage your money, this is the place where your financial health is the core of our conversations. Welcome to Wealth Beyond the White Coat, where your journey to financial clarity and freedom begins. All right, we've got a great episode here for you today. But before we get started, I just wanted to say thank you because a few episodes ago, I asked you guys for suggestions for new sponsors and new content, and you guys really came through for me. You're going to like a couple of the new sponsors that we have on the next several episodes. We also have some great new guests that are all talking about different angles on doing more and doing better with your money. I hope you enjoy the offerings and the sponsors, and please continue to send in your suggestions as well. All right, on to the show. All right, welcome to another episode of Wealth Beyond the White Coat. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Annette Woods, an inspiring entrepreneur who made a remarkable career shift after 35 years in the dental industry. Annette began her journey as a dental hygienist, where she developed a deep understanding of the ins and outs of dental practices. After the unexpected passing of her husband, Annette decided it was time for a change that would allow her to be more present for her family. Leveraging her background in dentistry and her business acumen, she founded Bookkeeping Aesthetics, aesthetics with an A specialized bookkeeping firm that exclusively serves the dental industry. Her firm has since become a trusted resource for dentists across the country, offering them tailored financial management services that speak directly to the unique challenges and opportunities in the dental field. In this episode, Annette's going to share her journey, the lessons she's learned, and the vital importance of financial health for dental practices. So we'll dive into the key financial pitfalls that dentists face, maybe how to avoid them, the benefits of having an expert like Annette on your team. Plus, we'll explore her insights on some cash flow management, maybe the importance of proactive planning, and why bad bookkeeping can be the silent killer of a successful practice. So with that, Annette, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
Yeah. Let's just jump into it here. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey from dental hygienist to bookkeeping expert?
Sure. As you mentioned, I was a dental hygienist for 35 years, mostly in South Florida, but I was in Michigan for a while. In 2016, my husband passed away suddenly. So when that happens, you tend to look at your life. And I had a son that was in middle school at that time, and it was important to me to be there for him. And as a lot of dental professionals know, it's harder to take off, especially as a hygienist. I was booked 6 months in advance. So I tried to figure out what can I do to use my dentistry that I have invested so many years in. And with my husband being a businessman, I also experienced some things after he passed away, the books being a mess and having to deal that through grief. And I thought, how can I help people from my experience in dentistry and also what I went through? So it seemed like the natural thing to do is to do bookkeeping for dentists and help them that way.
Yeah. As you and I were talking about before we hit record here, I've also got young kids, and I know you don't know me that yet, but part of my journey and what I'm trying to do here is teach dentists about investing and maybe how to escape the chair, not necessarily to quit dentistry entirely, but just offer optionality to their life. They might want to do less. They might want to focus on specialty procedures. They might want to scale up even, but by having some financial flexibility, that's kind of part of what we're trying to achieve here. It's very important to me. It's near and dear to my heart. Your story is similar but different to what I'm trying to achieve for myself. So I appreciate you sharing that. Can you tell us a little bit about how your experience as a dental hygienist might have informed your approach to bookkeeping? I know you've got a background of being in the clinic. So how has that kind of differentiated you in your space, and what would that offer to potential clients as far as knowledge and background as a bookkeeper?
Sure. I think the main thing is I speak dental. I speak the dental language. I have so many clients that say to me, my CPA, my bookkeeper, they went over my financials. I have no clue what they're talking about, and I still don't know anymore. We know how to organize things so you can see what you need to see, how to customize. We understand how the dental office works. We understand your practice management software, where many bookkeepers don't even go there. And we bring in things from the practice management software to give you a clearer picture of what's going on in your practice.
I think that's great because my experience with bookkeepers and CPAs has been they pull from the bank, which is obviously real money, but they don't see maybe the front end of as far as what should have been there or what's going on in the practice. So I think it's awesome that you tie all that together. Just for my audience's knowledge, there's a ton of practice management systems. Are there any that you love working with? Are there any that you don't work with? Just so people know what to expect there.
I'll tell you what I am excited about is more doctors are going to the online practice management, and it makes it so much easier for me to get in there
Yeah.
and check things and not rely on their front desk to give me information. I love it. And there's so many new ones coming out that do so much more than what the older ones did. So that's all exciting.
Yeah, I think digitization, cloud, all that stuff's becoming so much more popular. And like you said, the ease of use, the ability to be offsite, third party, have access, even as a dentist, if I'm sitting in my home office right now, if I want to log in and see something, if I'm not cloud based, I'm having to remote into a computer, hope somebody's not on it, hope the power didn't go out, all that kind of stuff where
Exactly.
yeah, if you're cloud based, you can see that anytime, anywhere. And then, like you said, you're not having to transfer manually, so there's no potential misuse or miscalculation or just mishandling of the data. You don't have any misinterpretations there. You've really got what you were looking for direct from the software. So I agree with you. I think that's going to be where things go here. If they haven't started trending that way, they definitely will shortly.
Oh, and also even with their accounting software, and this is a big jump for a lot of dentists too, because so many of them years ago would have it on desktop and never even see their accounting software. The CPA would have it or whatever, and we're very proactive in them getting into the books and seeing what's going on and being aware. Such a big difference from what it was years ago.
Are you overwhelmed by dental school loans or practice related debt? Credit cards, mortgage payments, car loans, and more? Imagine a future where your financial burdens are not just reduced, but on track to be eliminated entirely. That's what our soon to be launched solution offers, a powerful, tailored version of the Shred method designed specifically for dentists. This isn't your typical debt reduction strategy. It's a groundbreaking approach to managing cash flow, cutting down interest payments, and accelerating your journey to financial freedom. With this new method, you'll discover how to optimize your income and debt management like never before, keeping more of your hard-earned money where it belongs. Want to be among the first to take advantage of this innovative debt solution? Contact me at darren@legacypointgroup.com. That's DEREN at legacypointgroup.com to join the waiting list and stay in the loop. Your journey to a debt-free life is just around the corner. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your business real quickly. Tell us that transition from clinician to this bookkeeping. What were some of the challenges that you faced? And maybe some of the unexpected ease as far as what transitioning from clinician, hygienist, and now you're talking to practices, you're working with them, but you're no longer in the practice. What was that like for you as far as starting your own business?
There were parts building credibility in the beginning was hard, definitely, and we have done that. Probably working with dentists that weren't so much into tech, that was always a challenge because we do everything virtually and they're not quite used to that. Now it's becoming more and more accepted. And also building my repertoire of having specialized individuals that I can refer to, having those in my pocket, because we're not just here to do the books. We try to help the dentists in many ways. If they need a CPA referral, we're there, an investment professional. We are out there to help the whole practice. Yeah, I think just building that credibility and through the years that has happened and that we're really enjoying doing this and helping dental practices.
Cool. We might come back to that kind of network of what you're, and especially like how you're proactively helping people. I appreciate you sharing that part of what you do. Let's pivot for a second here and talk about financial health for dentists through your lens, from your perspective. I know you see probably a lot of practices. Some are doing really well. Some maybe are struggling. That's probably all across the board. Are there any kind of common financial mistakes you feel like you see dental practices making, or maybe some kind of anomaly stuff, that some anecdote story that you want to tell to maybe share somebody else the heartache from mistakes
Oh
you've
yeah,
seen
we
from your
we
practices?
we could have a ton of those, from internal controls to financial mistakes. Definitely. Mostly what we do is we're going to dig in and find out what that dentist is looking for. Because, like you mentioned, even with investments, some might be looking for time freedom. Some might be looking for things to run more smoothly. Some are afraid of fraud. So it all depends what is happening there. But we like to, first of all, we do a business health assessment, seeing where your books are at. Probably the biggest thing I see with dental practices is they're on a cash basis instead of accrual basis. So they're really not seeing month to month what's going on in their practice. They're not lining up their expenses with their income. So let's say 1 month you made so much money and you did so many crowns or whatever and had a lab bill, but you might not pay that lab bill for many months down the road for whatever reason. So then it's not lined up with your expenses when you're doing it on cash basis. And how I like to explain cash versus accrual to my dentist in speaking dental language, many of them probably don't remember when we used to do x-rays in the manual way, and we'd had the film and we'd put it in an envelope and mark on it the date and everything. And now we have digital, where we take the x-rays, it all pops up in chronological order. You can see what happened when. So with your bookkeeping, it's like taking that old way and dumping the x-rays on the table or whatever and trying to figure out what's going on. That's your cash basis. Nothing's lined up quite right. And then with the digital x-rays, that's accrual. You have a clearer picture of what's going on so that you can make better diagnosis and a better diagnosis of your books. That's probably the biggest mistake. So after that, part of it is getting you set up correctly with a dental specific chart of accounts. We want to see and customize that to your practice for what you need to see. Maybe you're looking to sell to a DSO down the road. So let's get that in order to get you the best return on your money when you do sell, so that it's organized and they can see what your practice is worth. Maybe you want more time freedom. So let's organize it to see what you need to do to have that time freedom and work less. Can you afford that associate you want? So we will do things like that. But we also see mistakes with internal control and fraud, unfortunately, and we like to help with that and safeguard against it.
Yeah, understood. Let's talk about bookkeeping specifically. How do you feel that poor bookkeeping could impact the overall success of a dental practice?
You're making a lot of decisions on your bookkeeping, whether it be your taxes, whether it be buying new equipment. So if your bookkeeping isn't accurate and timely, I know doctors that wait 2-3 months to get the month closed. You're not going to be making those good decisions, and you're not going to know what to do, where you're lacking. Is it, do we need to bring in more income, or is it, no, we can't afford an associate right now? What do we need to do to get there? But if you don't have accurate numbers, it's not going to do you any good.
Yeah. And you touched on this a minute ago when you're talking about cash basis and accrual. How, I guess leaning on that a little bit, obviously there's the importance of cash flow management, I feel like is pretty high. Can
Yes.
you maybe touch on that or explain how that might factor into decision making in the practice?
When they say cash is king, it's not cliche. It is so true. Your cash flow, you have to have a good cash flow. If you don't, you're not going to survive. And what a lot of dentists don't understand is how to look at that cash flow and how to leverage it. They'll look at their income statement or profit and loss and say, "Oh, it says I made 70,000. Why isn't it in my bank account?" And you need to know where it's coming in from and where it's going out, because yeah, it's definitely a killer of a dental practice if you don't have that cash flow.
Yeah. So I'm in a consulting group that's totally separate from what we're doing here. And one of the terms we use is, how does a dollar flow through your practice? Like just understanding all the pit stops it makes. And
Yes.
dentists hear that term and it's foreign, but we do understand workflow, like how a new patient calls, where did they come from? Where did the marketing
Right.
start? How did you answer the phone? What does it feel like to walk in the practice? So how does a patient flow through your practice is very easy to understand for a dentist, but sometimes how a dollar flows through your practice is very hard to grasp. And like you
Yes.
said, you see this top line number and the bottom line number doesn't correlate to that, and you don't really understand all the little places that got pulled away on the
Right.
path through your
And it's
practice.
actually not all that difficult. And that's one of the reports we go over with monthly. A lot of doctors never even look at the statement of cash flows. That should be
Yeah.
their best friend. That should be if you're going to look at anything, look at your statement of cash flows. But it's really not that hard to understand. It's broken down into 3 categories: your operating expenses, your investing, did you buy new equipment, and your financing, what are you paying out in loans? Because your loan payments aren't going to be reflected on your income statement. So that just shows you where it's coming in, your operating, where it's going out, and it gives you a better understanding of, oh, okay, this is what's happening, and this is why that money's not in there, and maybe we need to change this, or we can see opportunities for improvement.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to interrupt real quick and say thanks for listening to the podcast. If you didn't know, we have an associated Facebook group also called Wealth Beyond the White Coat. Over there, you can ask your questions, get feedback from group members, and have a close community of medical professionals who are likely interested in the same things as you. Whether it's alternative investing, tax mitigation, ways to keep more of your money, or even protect your assets, we're going to discuss those things in the group. Additionally, we have a private investors club called Legacy Point. As a member, you'll get exclusive discounts to preferred vendors, and you'll get access to private investments that you'll find nowhere else. Whether it's hotels, apartments, oil and gas, equipment rental, you name it, we'll be discussing those details and offering those investments to members only inside Legacy Point Group. If you want to learn more about that, please contact me or simply email info, I-N-F-O, at legacypointgroup.com or go to the website legacypointgroup.com. And Wealth Beyond the White Coat podcast listeners get an exclusive discount if you use the code WealthBeyond. That's all caps, all together, WealthBeyond at checkout. I'd love to have you in the group, and I'd love to see you making more passive income as you move towards financial freedom, whether it's freedom to retire early, spend more time with your family, go on more vacations, or just do more of what you love while you're in the operatory. I'd love to see you doing that as part of Legacy Point. So here's to improving your financial health. Yeah. Let's say I'm your typical dentist, my bookkeeping's a mess, or maybe I've had somebody in my office doing it, or I'm doing it myself. What would you think the first steps would be as far as getting my financial health specific to bookkeeping? What would I be looking at to do?
The first thing we would do is we would like to do a deep dive into your bookkeeping, see what's going on. And we do an analysis, a diagnostic review. And then we come to you and show you where we think you could make improvements and what we need to do. And then once they can see that, we go ahead and we do what is called a cleanup or a catch up, depending on what the doctor needs. And we reorganize it to help them understand their books better and get them more accurate. And that can include a lot of things they're not doing. Like I said prior, bringing in information like the AR from your practice management that a lot of bookkeepers don't do, having invoices and bills attached to the transactions and having them actually placed in the proper month to match up with the expenses. All these things we do to help them get in order.
Okay, wonderful. Just going down that road a little further, let's talk about your company, Bookkeeping Aesthetics. Walked us a little bit through your process of what you might look at initially. Tell us a little bit more about your services. What all do you guys offer?
Okay, along with the compliance, which is doing the bookkeeping, setting up internal controls is another thing. And that has to do with going into the practice management software and actually comparing the deposits to what's in the bank. You would believe how things can get put in other places. We look at that. We help you set up controls in your office to make sure that you're safe. That's one of the big things we do. We also do analysis with timely reports. Our reports are done on the 10th. As long as we have the information we need, they're done on the 10th. Because if you're not looking at your books monthly, you're leaving money on the table, money you could have saved seeing those opportunities and looking at your bookkeeping. We can help you set up forecasts or targets, and we can see that you're staying on target, what you do to meet your goals, because that's another thing we're going to talk about. What are your goals? How can we help you? Is it to sell to a DSO? Is it to have more time freedom? Or is it just to have more income to save maybe for that trip to Europe, or maybe to get your kids through college? So all these things are how we're going to set up and help you get on track with that when you're with our company.
I like that. Sometimes people are just looking for somebody to stay in their lane, crunch the numbers, do the books, but you guys are thinking about them as a practice and a practice owner and life goals and all that. And I think a lot of people would really resonate with that as far as wanting somebody actually caring about their business and their personal life and finances and all that stuff. So I think that's going to really land with a lot of people as far as what they might be looking for in a service, that it's more than just a service. You really do care about them and the outcomes that they have, not just are the numbers in the right place on a spreadsheet, but you really want to make sure that they are doing the right thing and thinking about the right things to take care of themselves and their family. I like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. You hinted at some of the kind of extra things you might do. And I know you probably aren't formally advising them and don't have credentials to do that, but you're connecting them with the right people. And you probably have an outlook and a thought process as far as what they might be considering. So from a tax planning perspective, tell us a little bit about how you play a role there, what you might be looking for with a practice when they're making a lot of money and maybe they're just going to pay the taxes on it or pay the tax bill and move on with life. And that's okay. A lot of people do that. That's a way you could do things, but there are some things you could do to maybe mitigate some of that, invest in things, maybe invest back in your practice. Like, what kind of conversations are you having with dentists when you see that they're doing well and they maybe need some help in that regard?
Definitely. And also, you mentioned with CPAs, I also feel that having a bad CPA is another killer of a dental practice. It is so important. Your tax bill is probably going to be one of your biggest bills. And so I recommend that they have a dental specific CPA. Very important, because they're going to see things that aren't regular more easily. I also believe you should be meeting with your CPA 2 to 3 times a year and doing tax planning. Proactive is so much better than waiting till the end of the year and, okay, let's deal with what happened. Let's make a plan for what's going to happen. So we're very good at looking at the books, and there have been times where we don't do taxes, but we've seen better things being done by other CPAs. Would you be interested in talking to maybe another one? And just even one client, one year, we saved them $100,000 just by changing CPAs. Not that we're looking for them to change the CPAs, but we're looking for them to have the best opportunities that they can. And the same with when we're working on cash flow, we're trying to get where they have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in the bank. We might not be always the best people to tell what do you need to be doing with that money that you have readily available, or as you're gaining your wealth, you don't want to have it all just sitting in your bank account. Let's get an expert to help us with that. So those are ways that we look at how we can help them. And it might be a billing expert. Sometimes we see, hey, your AR is really growing quite a bit. Maybe you need to get some outsourcing billing helping. Just different people that we bring in to help them out.
Thanks for joining us in part 1 of our conversation with Annette Woods. We covered her unique journey from dental hygienist to the founder of Bookkeeping Aesthetics, going into how her background in dentistry gives her an edge in managing financial health for dental practices. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dive deeper into specific strategies for optimizing your practice's financial performance and learn more about the critical role that proactive planning plays in building a successful and sustainable dental business. You don't want to miss it.
Thanks for listening in to Wealth Beyond the White Coat. Your time and attention mean a lot to us. If you found value in today's episode, please consider leaving us a review on your favorite podcast platform and share it with your colleagues and friends. Your feedback helps us grow and reach more professionals like you striving for financial freedom. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of your financial health. Thank you for joining us on this journey to wealth beyond the white coat.